Hello, everyone, and welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I am Mike Barner. He is Kieran. No, that's not Kieran Sprecher. He is on vacation. His feet are in the sand. He's drinking something, watching NBA League Pass replays on his iPad. I am joined today by Ken K-Train Kreitz.
All aboard.
The train whistle with Ken. This is fantastic. This is a dream come true.
To all Kyrian fans that this loudmouthed old man will be replacing him in today's show.
This is going to be one for the ages. And we have some fun things planned throughout the show. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the next 40 or so minutes. And first and foremost, we're going to start out with our usual news and notes. And we have a trade. An NBA trade to talk about, but no NBA players were actually involved in the trade. So you got to love that. The Suns and Jazz made a trade yesterday. The Suns traded their 2031 first-round pick to the Jazz. The Jazz sent 3 first-round picks to the Sun. Now, why would you do 3 for 1? Well, the 3 trades that the Suns acquired are the least favorable of draft picks from 25, 27, and 29 between the Jazz, the Timberwolves, and the Cavaliers. So those are probably going to be 3 very late first-round picks. And instead, the Phoenix Suns get a chance by 2031 that the Suns stink, and maybe they get a top 5 pick. So, Ken, does this mean Jimmy Butler will be on the Phoenix Suns?
I was going to start by complimenting Danny Ainge's job security. Can you imagine, everywhere else except for maybe OKC, executives are like, "Oh, really? You're trading for an asset that kicks in 6 years from now?" These guys will all be in Cancun 6 years from now. Every other team president's like, "That'd be nice." But clearly the Suns are loading up for Butler or some other desperation win now deal. For Utah, they literally had more draft picks than roster spots. So. And you're going to see a few of these trades over the next couple of years, both from Utah and OKC, because they're sitting on more picks than they can actually roster these people. So, you bundle and move up. It's funny that it's 6 years from now. Are you scouting in high school who these kids are going to be with that pick?
We'll see that 14-year-old, Ken. That 14-year-old in Vermont is awesome.
Of those... The next Cooper Flag. Who knows? The Northeast is now the area. How many of those 3 picks do you think the Suns actually make over the next few years?
None. They'll probably trade. They'll probably trade all of them. Yeah, okay. I mean, the rumor here is
to Miami, maybe.
Yeah, well, the rumor is the 3 or 4 team trade where the Bucks are involved and there's another team, and the Bucks get Bradley Beal and Chris Middleton goes to the Heat. And then that's how Jimmy Butler ends up on the Suns. I don't know if I like that for the Bucks. I mean, I know Middleton's hurt all the time, but I'd probably rather have Middleton in the locker room than Bradley Beal on the floor. Or
in the medical tent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Bucks are desperate right now, but I think.
I mean, you're trading Middleton's injury history for Beal's injury history. The only hope is that you think maybe Beal's motivated because he's angry about the Suns situation.
And he can score. I mean, he's much more of a scoring option than Middleton is.
You honestly let the Milwaukee trainer decide that deal. You're like, trainer, how much upside is there still to Middleton, or is he washed?
If you make that trade, you ask for more ice. Can we make sure we get some – we got to fill the cold tubs the time.
Maybe some recliners or some massage tables for the sideline bench area there. Yeah.
Well, we talked about the Heat being involved in a possible Suns trade, but we got some Heat player news yesterday. Tyler Herro did not play against the Trailblazers. He had a groin injury. Terry Rozier started. He only played 22 minutes because it was a blowout score. The final score was not indicative of how that game went. The Trailblazers blew their doors off the Heat.
The Trailblazers.
Yes. How about that? Unbelievable. They spoke
in Miami, too. Oh, Heat culture.
Well, Heat culture is taking a hit when Jimmy Butler is sulking around.
I know. That's what I mean.
The culture has changed quite a bit. But the biggest news, Ken, from that game, I'm going to try and say this correctly. Kel'el Ware, he started alongside Bam Adebayo. He played 39 minutes, 20 points.
I mean, we're going to get this later into teams or players to get off of bad teams, but that's two great games in a row.
Yes.
The worry is this a one-time kind of reward the kid with a start, but knowing that Butler's going to be gone, right? Is it Ware and not Jaquez that gets the big boost? I think that's kind of our dilemma here. It's our question.
Well, what you like here is that Ware has played at least 33 minutes in 3 of the last 5 games. So while yesterday was the start that was great, he's been playing more lately. In the 3 games that he played at least 33 minutes, he averaged 21.3 points, 12 rebounds, 1.7 blocks, and 2 3-pointers. You love that versatility. What I like here is I think the biggest takeaway is Hayward Highsmith played 4 minutes.
Thank goodness.
That's 4 minutes too many. Okay, I don't understand how he's even sniffing the floor between.
Let alone what he got like
Jaquez.
25 starts on the season.
Get him out of here. Play Jovic. Play anybody.
Yeah.
How is he on the floor?
Very true.
So I think even if Butler does get traded, there are minutes there because they're done with him.
He's playing for Heat
I think
culture.
maybe they're done with him. Please be done with him.
This is what I also took as an encouraging sign. Yeah, Ware took 6 threes. But they had him and Bam on the court together on a decent amount, and they played well. And, Bam's not as great an outside shooter, but if Ware, can drain threes and spread it, now you're looking at like Rudy Gobert, Towns, lesser degree, of course, but partnership that could work. And, Butler, let's face it, Butler was a lot of good things, but he wasn't a floor spacer. He was working the elbows and he's working the key. So it's not like replacing Butler with Ware is suddenly a logjam. I think they always had a logjam inside, and I'm curious to see how this works out. Ware's got pedigrees. Number 15 pick, first rounder. I'd love to see how this goes. And if you're Miami, frankly, there's no upside to Highsmith. That's just a waste of time. But is it Jaquez or is it Ware? Or is it both of them? If I'm the Heat, you say this year's a waste. Let's learn about these young assets we've got.
Exactly. I like Jaquez. I like Ware moving forward. Jovic has also played really well lately.
I don't think they like Jovic's defense. I think Jovic's defense is always going to be an issue.
That's why he's going to stay on the bench. Right. Nice to have a scorer off the bench and a good passer, too. I believe he had 8 assists last night, too. So
and Ware is a true rim protector. Bam works his tail off, but he's not scaring anyone at the rim. Ware will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we have some more injuries to talk about, and this is the game that Ken has circled to watch tonight. In the Clippers-Celtics game, the Clippers have quite a few guys on the injury report now. Ivica Zubac and Kawhi Leonard are both out. James Harden and Norman Powell are both questionable. This is a very difficult stretch for the Clippers. They are playing 6 games in 9 days. This is the first game of a back-to-back set. So it's no surprise that Leonard is out. They play the Wizards on Thursday. Got to have Kawhi to make sure they get that win over the Wizards. It is a bit concerning for Zubac. He's missed 2 straight games. But Ken, are you and your Celtics catching a break tonight?
Well, of course we are. Though, hey, Chris Dunn could light it up.
I can't believe he's still in the league, to be honest with you.
Hey, great defense. It's great defense, but he's always going to shoot 38% for the field. Hey, we'll take it. It's a long road trip for the Celtics, so we'll take the break. But honestly, when you decide you're going to build your team around Harden and Kawhi, you're going to have these horrible injury stretches. When you go stars and scrubs, you don't have any depth. And that's why I think they were okay with letting Paul George go to Philadelphia. And frankly, in hindsight, that doesn't look like such a bad move.
Yes.
But yeah, what's the line for tonight? I'm trying to Boston by 10. I got to believe that's going to grow as the Harden news probably gets worse. Honestly, if you're the Clippers, doesn't it make sense to rest, 37 years old, James Harden tonight, and just hope he can carry you for the rest of however long this absence is for Kawhi?
Yeah, if you're playing daily fantasy tonight, I'm not sure you're pumped about rolling with Mo Bamba, even though Zubac is out. Batum's also on the injury report. So
I go Norman Powell. Powell's going to have the green light. Yeah, if he plays, it's true.
He's questionable.
That's true. Yeah, he's a game time decision too. So yeah, I think to me the question is just if you're big DFS night, who's the gunner for the Clippers tonight? Because someone's going to have to hoist it. It's not
Terrence Mann.
It's not going to be Derek Jones. Yeah,
3 for 6 from the field. Even when he gets a chance, he doesn't shoot. Shoot more,
Hey,
Terrence Mann.
if he goes 7 for 20, who cares about the field goal percentage? It's DFS, right?
That's right. Let her rip. Let her rip.
Exactly.
Well, unfortunately, we have a more serious injury to talk about. Zaccharie Risacher. The Hawks announced yesterday he is going to be reevaluated in 1 week. He has already missed the last 3 games. He has not been efficient, but he is averaging 10.5 points per game this season. What does that mean? Well, his absence could mean more minutes, and I don't want to be on the mispronounced. We don't do this on the Wednesday show. We don't do the mispronounced names list.
Risacher.
But here we go. Here's another one.
Okay.
Vit Krejci.
Krejci.
Sorry. Vit Krejci. He's been pretty good. Might be someone to consider in 14-team leagues. He's averaged 11.1 points, 3 rebounds, 3.7 assists, and 2.4 3-pointers over his last 7 games. He's been playing more. He's been starting. So maybe that's an option there, Ken.
Well, this is especially true if Jalen Johnson doesn't play tonight, too. So he's game time decision just after coming back. Like, wait a minute, I thought he's healthy now. What's going on? But he's iffy for the shoulder issue. Of course, DeAndre Hunter, I assume, is still out. I haven't really looked him up.
Hunter is playing. But on the Wednesday pod, Ken, Kieran and I are the kings of the Jalen Johnson fan club. So whenever we see him on the injury report, we dip our heads a little bit and we sigh because we have him in so many places. I'm hoping it's just because it is the same shoulder, and he did play a lot the last 2 games. It may just be one of those things. The Hawks got fined earlier in the season for the Trae Young injury report thing. Yeah. So I'm hoping it's a situation where they're just being overly cautious. I'm not panicking. If I had to put money down on it, I think Jalen Johnson plays tonight. But we'll see how that goes.
Well, and maybe it's also a big DeAndre Hunter night. You know, he certainly was fabulous before. He's been great. 22 nights his last one.
So yeah, we love Hunter. He scores. He doesn't do much else.
He does not do much else. He scores
and shoots 3-pointers. So
he's especially doing less. Yeah, this year since they moved him to the bench. He used to be a little more versatile. I'm sort of surprised the defense isn't there, the stocks, but he's got a new role clearly.
Well, they don't need him to with Johnson and Okongwu doing all that. I love seeing Okongwu as the starting center now. That's another thing Kieran and I always talked about. Would the Hawks please trade Clint Capella? We don't need it anymore. They benched him. And Okongwu is starting, and that's great.
What
and
took so long with that?
I
don't
know.
You know what? Yeah.
Now, this is one that Ken put on the rundown. He is so excited to talk about the man, Nikola Jokic, with his
Can we dog Risacher for just a moment? Last 13 games. For number 1 overall pick. I know he's 19. I know he's a kid. I have many T-shirts older than Zaccharie Risacher. But come on. Number 1 pick, last 13 games, 9 points, 3.5 rebounds. He's shooting 41% from the field. This is a number 1 pick. Come on, Atlanta. And arguably all their strengths at small forward with Johnson and Hunter. So I get it. It's an upside pick, but what is happening to Risacher, let's say 4 or 5 years from now? What's he doing?
He might be taking over the DeAndre Hunter role where he just plays 25 to 30 minutes off the bench and gives them solid production, but nothing great. I mean, he probably will never be the scorer that Hunter is. But I think it was an opportunity for them to take another long, athletic guy in a bad draft. And I think that's how they looked at it and said, well, I guess this is what it is.
Deal the pick then. I don't know. Yeah.
Listen, he's no Chris Dunn, okay?
He's no Chris Dunn. All right, well, last bit of news. Joker, Nikola Jokic with his 4th straight triple-double, blowout win over Philly. What I giggle about this is, once again, Joel Embiid did not play because he's terrified of the Joker. Embiid overall has missed 8 straight games for the Sixers just now, but he has not faced Joker since November 2019. Paul Millsap was in the Denver lineup that night. The last time Embiid played, had the guts to face Joker in Denver. It's just comical to me. And there's a gazillion social media memes about it, about Embiid. He's going to be an anchor for the Sixers for years to come.
He's not Batman because Batman's not afraid to face the Joker. He's not Robin because even Robin will get in there and mix it up. Is he Alfred? Is he like he's not Commissioner Gordon? Is he like Lieutenant Smith? Is he like scared of the Joker? Is he really nervous?
I'm not really. Yeah, I don't know my my comic books very well.
I
but
don't. I was throwing out
he's-
some names there. I know.
Yeah.
I don't know who works directly under Commissioner Gordon. Could be. It could be.
He's the
Lieutenant
guy who
General.
turns the light on. Maybe. I
Yes.
don't know.
Yeah. He's the janitor of the precinct who comes
The
in there. He's like,
spotlight,
no.
light thing. That,
I don't want any trouble. Keep moving.
But if you're a Sixer fan, and I have a good buddy here who's a Sixer fan, just miserable. Now you're eating that Paul George contract. Tyrese Maxey's developing all these bad habits because he's got a gun on it, because he doesn't want to pass to the dancing bear, Yabusele. It's a problem. Where is that team going?
It's really ugly for the 76ers right now. They are not officially a tanking team, but we're going to use this as a segue into our next segment. We are going to talk about, Ken, bad teams and trying to find value on such tanking squads. We're each going to talk about 3 guys you either want to trade for or pick up off waivers. Ken, why don't you start us off with a guy on a bad team that you think can have some value in fantasy basketball?
Well, let's talk perennially bad team, the Charlotte Hornets. And suddenly, Nick Smith is their starting shooting guard due to the wrist injury to Brandon Miller. We don't really know when Miller's returning. Nick Smith, 20-year-old guard. He was a first-round pick last year, late, only 27th pick. But last 2 games, 22.5 points. Oh, wait, I'm reading the wrong line. Last 2 games, 17 points, 4 triples per game over 28 minutes. He's just a gunner. He's a gunner on a bad team. The Clippers could use him tonight. But no, he's a Charlotte Hornet. And honestly, who knows when LaMelo Ball gets his next injury? So even if Miller does come back, they know Micic is terrible. I think Smith could be gobbling up a ton of garbage minutes for this Hornets team as they play out the string and tank it out. So anyway, if you need points, if you need threes, Smith's available in 92% of leagues on Yahoo. Let's see if Nick Smith can stay on this heater.
I love that call. I watch a lot of the Hornets. I've said on this podcast multiple times, that is my favorite broadcasting crew with Eric Collins. So I will sit through and watch those terrible games just because I enjoy him. And you're right. Smith has no hesitation. He's shooting the ball when he gets in his hands, and the team plays him a lot. They highly value him. So I
who's his backup? I know his backup is. You know his backup, but who's the backup in Charlotte at shooting guard?
They have a plethora of guys.
34-year-old Seth Curry, right? So you're a terrible team with, you're going to play the 34-year-old, or you're going to develop the young guy who was a first-round pick, right? Like, I tell Seth, go get donuts for tomorrow's practice. Take the night off. You're good.
The only concern is eventually Trey Mann's going to come back, but he doesn't seem close. So Trey Mann might be on your March radar, but not your January, February.
And talk about a gunner.
Yes.
Hey, man. Unconscionable. Shots.
we love that. Now,
all right. Why do I have a feeling that as you talk about bad teams, you're going to go to one of my favorite cities in America?
Now, Ken is not usually on the Wednesday podcast. Kieran and I always call for the Bulls Minute. And guys, it is time for the official Bulls Minute. It is time to trade for Josh Giddey in fantasy basketball. Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu were both out Monday against the Clippers. Giddey had 18 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists. He played 40 minutes. Now, to me, it makes no sense he's only playing 28 minutes per game this season. He should be playing at least 30. They got to decide if they want to sign him to an extension or not. The key here and why we want to trade for him in fantasy basketball. The Bulls are likely still shopping Zach LaVine. His trade value has probably gone up. They could also try and trade Lonzo Ball, who has been playing well in a minute restrictions. Key here with Giddey. He has played at least 30 minutes in a game 15 times this season. In those games, 13.9 points, 8.9 rebounds, 7.5 assists, and 1.4 steals. Oh, Ken, we love that. So fantasy managers.
It's always a bit of a percentage problem, though, if you're roto leagues.
That's true. But the fantasy manager who drafted Giddey thinking he was going to be one of the building blocks of the Bulls might be disappointed that he's not. Now is the time to try and acquire him on a discount. The Bulls are losing games to the Trailblazers, the Hornets, the Pelicans. They have to sell. And if they get rid of just one guard, it's going to give more minutes for Giddey. Trade for him, Ken.
You really think Lonzo Ball has a trade market? You think people are like calling Chicago saying, hey, that guy who's always hurt with a crazy dad, can we get him, please?
I think so, because his on-off minutes, their stats with him on and off the floor are vastly different. He's playing 24, 26 minutes a night. You're not acquiring Lonzo Ball to be your starting point guard, but could he be an Alex Caruso type off the bench for a contending team?
Caruso plays defense. Don't get too.
So does Ball. Oh, Ken. Oh, no.
I mean,
where's Carrion?
The steal number. All right. You know what? I stand corrected in that he has been getting great steals over 2 games in his last 11. So.
He is a very good perimeter defender. The Bulls
play
no defense, but they play at least a little.
I'm the one who lived in downtown Chicago during the Jordan years. Went to college out there. Waited in line. I don't know it's there anymore, but Sideline Sports Bar in the Wrigleyville, Lakeview area. Oh man, they'd play Sweet Home Chicago after the wins when they beat the Knicks in the playoffs. It was
fantastic. Ken, who else is on your list?
So yeah, keep me in line. A name we mentioned already, the rookie center in Miami, Kel'el Ware, started last night with Bam, as we said, last 2 games, 22.5 points, 11.5 rebounds, 2 blocks, and he hit 2 threes last night on 6 attempts. Jimmy Butler's got to be dealt, right? So, Mike, I asked you this before, but I'll ask you again in this segment. Who do you see with more upside rest of season for the Heat? Is it Ware or is it Jaime Jaquez?
I think it's Ware, because for some reason Spoelstra doesn't seem to want to give Jaquez minutes unless somebody's hurt. And for him to already give Ware a chance, I mean, you could have easily benched Highsmith and started Jaquez instead of Ware. And for him to give Ware that opportunity, I think they want to see what Ware can do. And I think his game is more fantasy friendly just because of the defensive stats that he can provide.
Blocks, center scarcity. Yeah.
Blocks and threes from a center, to get a center that can do both is not hard. I mean, that's why we keep drafting Brook Lopez. Even though he does nothing else, he gives you threes and blocks. And that's why we keep drafting him. Yes. So that's why Ware has some upside.
The Brook Lopez comp's interesting. Yeah, you're right. Ware has more of what you need. All right. I like that answer. So, Mike, I think I know you're Chicago fixated. But I really like your non-Chicago suggestion. Can you go there next?
Yes. Isaiah Collier of the Jazz is available in 75% of Yahoo leagues. Ken, what the Jazz are doing right now is disgusting. Not only are they resting veterans, okay? Yeah. Walker Kessler, he's 23 years old, and he's sitting out one half of back-to-back sets against the Pelicans.
Got to rest the 23-year-old.
They're just trying to lose games. Ken, it's not March. It's the middle of January.
Hey, you're both to take note. This is how you tank.
How can the league let them rest a 23-year-old in the middle of January?
It's immoral. It's immoral.
It's disgusting. So, all right, I'm mad about this because I love Walker Kessler and I have him in a lot of leagues. But we got to pivot because we're trying to win our fantasy basketball league. Right. So Collier is the guy that we want to add. He has averaged 31 minutes over the last 8 games. He turned that into averages of 10 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 8.9 assists. That's great. Now, he can't shoot. His percentages stink. He's shooting 35.4% from the field and 60.5% from the free throw line. So more valuable in a points league than in a roto league. If you can absorb those percentages, it's not easy to find assists on the waiver wire. So Collier is a guy that I like. And he's not a guy that I'm thinking about adding at the end of February. The Jazz are committed to the tank now. So add Collier now because he's not going to be there at the end of February and March. Somebody's going to pick him up already.
Well, you didn't mention this, but Jazz got to be interested in dealing Clarkson or Sexton, right?
Oh, yes.
No, they didn't last year, but they got to be, right?
At least Clarkson. He's got a injury right now. I don't think he suits up for the Jazz again.
I mean, he's 32 years old, right? Like, I get it. He's a fine stopgap measure, and he provided nice backup point guard, nice scoring on a terrible team. But let's do this tank.
And he'd be very valuable for a contending team. And now they have Collier and Keontae George. So they don't need Clarkson and Sexton because they have 2 young guards. So maybe you keep Sexton. They would probably love to trade both because they have 2 capable guards now. But I think at the minimum, a contending team's going to want Clarkson, right?
Sexton's 26, so there's still time there. You'd think they'd want Clarkson, especially if you need some juice off the bench. The one thing, though, about resting guys or not playing them and making up an injury is you do scare other teams that maybe there's a legitimate injury. So, but we'll see what Clarkson's value is. I can't imagine the Jazz would even need that much.
No, I mean, take a couple seconds. I mean, they're already trading 3 firsts for 1. So it's not like they're going to ask for 2
6 years from now, too.
Can we have your 2055 unprotected first? That might be what they go for. Ken, who else is on your list? Anybody else you want to talk about, Ken?
I have some boring ones.
We love boring.
All right. Actually, I got more of a question than a suggestion.
Okay.
Is John Collins, who has missed 8 games with the hip injury, but clearly not in their long-term plans when Taylor Hendricks comes back, are they going to deal Collins? Is he legitimately hurt and is not tradable? Or are they going to keep Collins?
Well, we saw for years the Hawks were trying to trade Collins and no one wanted him.
Yeah.
Now, the Jazz, surprise, no one wants him.
But has played very well this year. Arguably
has.
Better than he ever did with the Hawks. Unexpectedly, right? He was supposed to come off the bench. Again,
that Hendricks injury changed everything. I mean, Collins was going to be probably an outside the top 100 player because he wasn't going to play much more than 25 minutes a game. But like you said, he was great once Hendricks got hurt because he was playing a lot. But if you have John Collins on your fantasy team, you have to pray that he gets traded. Because if he doesn't,
I assume if he gets traded, it's a backup role.
But I don't think he's going to play if he stays. I don't think he's going to play the whole last month of the season.
Because of the tank.
Yeah, okay. I don't think he's going to play the whole last month of the season at a minimum.
He's too good.
He's going to be like Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant hasn't played in a game in April since my daughter's 8. It might have been before she was born. Okay, Jeremy Grant.
She's a huge Grant fan. So
he's allergic to the month of April. He like breaks out in hives. The Trailblazers are like, oh no, put Jeremy Grant on ice. He can't play in April. So the Jazz are going to do the same thing with John Collins.
Chamber, like
oh yeah. He's more scared of April than Embiid is of Jokic.
All right, so you're saying Collins, if he doesn't get traded, is going to perpetually have a hip injury like the Judge and Caddyshack.
He's not going to play.
He'll be like, oh, my arm's out.
Back injuries are great because back injuries you can always blame it on the back. As we know,
I mean,
we're old
Collins, he's 27, right? Like he could possibly help the rebuild. He's got a big fat player option of $26 million for next year that he's gonna take. But the Jazz have tons of money. They don't really I can see them holding on to him, and I could still see him. Maybe not playing in April, but you'd think February at least, especially on the off days for Kessler.
I can't handle the tanking Jazz. It makes me so furious that they are allowed to blatantly sit, and they're resting Sexton too. Like you said, he's 26. They're resting 23 and 26-year-olds in the middle of January. We haven't even hit the All-Star game yet. Okay, I know they're not All-Stars, but they're starting players. There has to be a line drawn somewhere. There has to be.
Yeah, I agree.
It's disgusting, Ken.
I agree. All right, go back to Chicago.
This is the unofficial Bulls second minute. We usually only do a Bulls minute, but this is a Bulls second minute.
Like all the Detroit ad nauseum we do on Friday for sure.
That's right. But Karen and I, we feed off each other. This is perfect. We have to talk about Ayo Dosunmu, who is available in 71% of Yahoo leagues. He's already had some fantasy value this season. He's averaging 12.3 points, just under 4 rebounds, and 4.7 assists per game. He's also averaging 1.3 3-pointers. He loves to attack the rim, shooting 49.2% from the field. Same reasons we're adding him is why we added Giddey. We're looking for a trade of Zach LaVine and or Lonzo Ball. If that happens, Dosunmu is one of the futures of the Bulls. He signed to a team-friendly contract. He's already been averaging 30 minutes, so he could see a couple more. I like Ayo Dosunmu. He's someone I have on a couple of teams now, not because I'm a Bulls fan, but because he gives you variety in a few areas. Still available in 71% of Yahoo leagues, Ken. Assists are not easy to find on the waiver wire.
You're right. You're right. And
They're
if you
not
lose
easy
out
to
on
find.
Josh Giddey, is there a market for Kobe White?
I hope not, because if I'm the Bulls, the only 3 players that I will not trade are Kobe White, Josh Giddey, and Ayo Dosunmu. Those are the guys I want to see if we can build. Bazelis too. That's what there's 4. I would not trade Bazelis. Everybody else, Patrick Williams, Vucevic.
You're giving up on Patrick Williams.
The
Somewhere
fact
I
that
saw some
haven't.
clickbait headline like Patrick Williams the Bulls might be willing to make Patrick Williams available. I'm like, might?
I saw that too. They're open to trading him. Yeah. No kidding. Is anybody open to acquiring him? Probably not.
Why did the Bulls re-sign him? Why did they give him more money?
I think it's because they let Markkanen go and he's become what he's become, that they were afraid to let another high draft pick go and have him thrive on another team. I really think that's why they did it.
Oh, boy.
Throwing good money at bad money. That's what that was. Now, Ken, before we move on to our final segment, is there anybody else per se that you might want to talk about?
I'm going to say the name, but with a question mark.
Okay.
I'm intrigued by Grayson Allen in Phoenix. This team already has no depth, and we have no idea how this Bradley Beal trade might work out. It wouldn't surprise me if they get even thinner as they try to deal Beal, in which case Allen might have to start playing starter minutes off the bench, but he could still see well north of 27, 28. He's very much a shooting guard, but he does get, where it's threes, points, and steals. But I'm intrigued by what Allen's role could be post-trade deadline, depending on what the Suns do. He's widely available, 79% of leagues. Look, last 7 games for Grayson Allen, almost 14 points, over 1 steal a game, 3.3 triples a game with great percentages, 61% from the field, 92% from the charity stripe, 59% from 3. So I kind of like Grayson Allen as a speculative ad to just see how the Suns roster shakes out, because he might even have to eat more minutes. And, his stats were terrible first half of the season in general because he was injured all, but I think he's finally healthy.
Yeah, he's one of those category guys. If you're hunting for 3-pointers, especially in 14-team leagues, he's someone that you should definitely be adding. Now, everybody who watches the Wednesday show, they know their favorite segment, the one that they call Uncle Bob and Aunt Janet into the room for, is the what was that stat line of the week. But Kirian's not here. It doesn't feel right to do without him. So Ken and I are going to do each, because Ken is the king of the old man rant. But before we do that,
I added a stat line in Kirian's name to my old man rant.
That's perfect. Before we do that, so you can call Uncle Bob and Aunt Janet, maybe your grandmother's visiting, you can call them into the room so they don't miss that segment. So before we do that, we have time to answer a couple questions in the chat.
You want me to pick these? How about I pick?
Do you know how to put them on the screen?
I do know.
A little behind baseball here. I have no clue how to do any of this technical stuff. Kirian does it all, guys.
I'm looking for what. There's a lot of statements posted. I'm looking for one with an actual.
Go to the first one, Ken, by Kobe.
Okay,
Fram.
it's a long one.
All right.
20 team already, so that's amusing. 9 category. He's 11th. Okay.
11 out of 20.
Let's get to the question. Should I trade my Maxey for Luka? We have no IL, and I have Embiid.
For me, it's a hard no. You already have Embiid.
Yeah.
You can't. You already. First of all, you have no IL spots, so you're already fighting an uphill battle without Embiid. I would not take on Luka. Who knows when he's going to come back? There's no reason for the Mavericks to push him when he does come back.
That's my even bigger scare is when he's back.
Yep.
He's not really back. They're not going to put him in back-to-back. So all they're going to care about is, avoid the play-in. If they're avoiding the play-in, they're excited and they're going to rest Doncic as much. He's not exactly the most dominating of athletes. Now they're one right now. They're 7th. If they can, I think their dream is get out of the play-in and rest Luka as much as possible for the playoffs, which I'm not sure they're able to do. We'll see, but his minutes and his rests would scare me.
Ken, go to the next one here from P-Dub.
P-Dub. We love P-Dub. Good morning. 10 category. Tobias Harris and Shaden Sharp. A hold. I have Quickly and Hartenstein on IR.
He also noted
Tobias
that
Harris
he has Nick Richards.
might finally
too. He
play
noted
in
underneath
April.
that.
What's that?
He also noted right underneath that he also has Nick Richards.
Yeah. What are your thoughts here, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, depending on who's on your waiver wire, if you could add Collier, but it's a 10-team 9-category league, so it's pretty shallow. So you might have some decent options on there. If you're trying to decide who to drop out of Harris and Shaden Sharp, I would probably drop Harris just because Sharp has a higher scoring upside. And Harris, I mean, sometimes you don't even know he's out there. It does help that Ivy's out because there are a few more opportunities for Harris to be more aggressive offensively. But Sharp, between Sharp and I'm definitely not dropping Nick Richards. I love him now as the starting center of the Suns. So he's not someone I would get rid of. I don't think you're going to have to make a decision soon anyways. Quickly seems to be forever injured, and Hartenstein's probably maybe at least another week away anyways.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. More questions. I'm scrolling. This is crazy to me. Was wondering if I should drop D'Angelo Russell or DeMar DeRozan for the much discussed Kel'el Ware in a points league.
Yeah, this is from Big Gucci John. Big Gucci, thank you for the question.
Is Big Gucci a regular on the Wednesday?
We love Big Gucci.
Shout out.
I definitely would not drop DeMar DeRozan. I know it's a points league, and DeRozan is basically just points because he's not giving you hardly anything in rebounds and assists anymore. Well, I wouldn't say hardly anything, but not what he was doing in Chicago. Russell, I can see it if you're afraid that he's not going to play. When he plays, he's good.
There is upside.
He was real good last night.
We don't know who's – because if they may never play Cam Johnson and Cam Thomas again. Cam Johnson might be gone. They might only have 6 guys on that team and have to play Russell like after the trade deadline, right? Cam Thomas's injury might mysteriously happen all year. You know, like I don't know. I Russell upside to me. I'd be curious what other options you have to drop, and then dropping a guard for a center. I don't know. I'd rather drop a center for a center if you possibly can. But I don't know his position depth and all that.
Ken, let's do one more. Go down to the one from Teo Pagan. It's a few down. 1 or 2.
Would you trade Richard for Collier? 9-category read. I don't. So many wildly different categories here, right?
What I think this strictly comes down to roster construction. How are you at center? How are you at point guard? If you're thin at center, then I want Richard. If you're thin at point guard, then I want Collier. 2 hot waiver wire names. It's all team need.
Yeah, and if did it say points or roto? I mean, the percentages from Collier.
9-cat, it says.
Oh, yes. The percentage play for Collier there, I make that trade in a heartbeat, I think. I would go for the Nick Richards side.
Now, Teo also asked here, what do you think you can get for Paul George? I wouldn't try and trade Paul George right now because his value is probably at about as low as it can get. See if you can get him to play 4 games in a row. If you can get him to play 4 or 5 games in a row, then that's when you shop. That's when
if you can get him to play 4 games in a row, maybe you should be head coach of the
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, I mean, he's missed 4 of his last, it looks like 8. This is the low point. You can't sell low now.
Yeah. Well,
the flip side is, the fear to our suggestion, of course, is he doesn't play 4 in a row for the whole rest of the year. They go to the fully tank mode and realize that
then you got nothing for him, which is a problem. But I don't think I would trade him right now. But I do want to thank everyone for putting their questions in the chat. Ken and I are happy to answer those. And now it's not the What Was That Stat Lines of the week. In honor of Ken and his beautiful, glorious old man rants at the end of the Friday pod, we are each going to do an old man rant. Ken, kick us off, please, with your...
Arg! Damn you, early Monday start times, and damn you, Daniel Gafford. So we actually, our new corporate overlords, gave us Monday off for Martin Luther King Day. That's very nice. So I decide I'll try to be a good husband. I'll make a late breakfast. We'll sleep in, make a late breakfast, and I don't get around to setting my lineups until about 1 p.m., and the Mavs game already started. They're in Central Time. How are they starting a game before 1 o'clock? And I had a flex spot to put Daniel Gafford in, but no, he was stuck on my bench in 2 leagues. And what does he do? He erupts. He has a career game for the Kyrian stat line. He had 31 points on 12 of 15 shooting, 15 rebounds, and 7 blocks. Damn you, early start Mondays. I have a life, and sometimes I can't always schedule my lineups 24 hours early. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Arg.
Clearly, the NBA does not care about spending time with your spouse based on that scheduling.
Clearly. NBA League Pass has probably created more divorces than marriages, I would say.
I'm going to leave that one untouched. Now, I have
old man rant, fellow.
I have an old man rant, and this is not basketball related. It's something I have to get off my chest. Now, germs at my kid's school. Ken, this last month has been ridiculous.
Yeah.
Every time there's a sickness at school or after school program, we get an email. Here's what's in the program. Yeah. Here's what you need to watch out for. Now, just before Christmas was the stomach bug. We all got it. I lost 7 pounds in a day. It was terrible. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Here are the other emails for ailments that we have received since we all had the stomach bug. The flu, strep throat, pneumonia, head lice, and scabies. Scabies? I didn't realize my kids were going on a pirate ship after I dropped them off in the morning. Head lice creeps me out to no end. Luckily, we've never had it. I have lice preventative shampoo. That email came out. I made the whole house use that shampoo for a week. I can't take head lice. I don't want it. My son was sick last week, fever and a sore throat. My daughter got the same thing. My son missed a day of school. My daughter missed 2. Everyone says your kids will grow up fast and you'll miss the days when they were young. You know what I won't miss, Ken? I won't miss everyone in my house being sick all the time.
I'm glad you had that rant because we are empty nesters and we do miss the kids. And I forgot about the constant head lice alerts. I think we still have bottles of deadly chemicals that probably cause more medical problems to my kids than the actual head lice, and we just douse it on them out of wild fear. Kids are just petri dishes. They're just conduits of disease. And that's one of the things they don't tell you about when you knock up your spouse.
We are here with PSAs for all of you who have young kids that have yet to enter daycare or the school systems. Get ready. You will never be healthy from the months of December to February if you live in the Northeast. You will be sick all the time. Don't plan anything. And then your family comes over for the holidays and you get all of them sick, and then they all hate you because you got them all sick.
You can use this to your advantage, Mike, though, because I bet there are some social engagements you don't want to participate in. And then you throw out scurvy or one of those things your kids has. And people will be like, yeah, don't come over. And you kind of get it out. So
I couldn't believe the scabies email.
I don't even know what scabies is.
I didn't either. I looked it up because my wife.
Anyone help us? T.O.
It says it happens on pirate ships. They used to get it on pirate ships.
Toby, Jeremy, somebody put in the chat what the hell scabies is.
Don't Google it because it'll scare you. If you see the email, bathe your kids 3 times that day and 2 times the day after, and keep your fingers crossed. And always have a bottle of the lice preventative shampoo in your house. If you hear someone within a 5-mile radius mention lice, just whole family uses the
school
shampoo.
Every school has that too. Like every school has the lice announcement. You're like, God. Yeah.
And with that is the end of today's RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I want to thank Ken for filling in for Kieran. There could not have been a better guest co-host. Kieran will be back next Wednesday so we can give you all the information that you need to win your fantasy basketball leagues. Ken, is there anything you want to say on the way out? You want to blow the train whistle? Say anything?
Honored to be here. I apologize to all the Wednesday fans for doing half the job Kieran does. Pleasure to be with you, Mike. You're a fabulous host. I feel terrible about your Bulls in general. I was there for the glory days, and I just left right as Jordan left, moved, and kind of left the Bulls behind with that. And I'm sorry you've been cursed with this terrible management.
Thanks for grinding the knife, Ken. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Good luck to your fantasy basketball teams. May everyone stay healthy, and may you win your leagues. Play us out, Ken. Bye.